Hi, and thanks for joining us for day 19 of 21 Days to Fred. Can you say hero? If that phrase sounds familiar, it might be because it was on the cover of Esquire magazine way back when, November 1998, when Fred Rogers appeared on the cover. It was kind of a landmark article written by a fella named Tom Junod, who had this amazing story of how Fred Rogers not only inspired him as a child, but really allowed him to solve some of the problems that he was having as an adult. It's the same story that was made into a screenplay not too long ago, but has been popular here in Hollywood. A screenplay that has even made the famous Blacklist in 2013. Blacklist being a list of screenplays very popular in Hollywood, but not yet produced into a full movie. Well, the wait is over, and the Mr. Rogers movie is happening. TriStar Pictures picked it up, and of course Tom Hanks is starring as Mr. Rogers, answering the question, can you say hero? Fred Rogers would never consider himself a hero. He was just far too humble for that kind of thing. You know, Fred Rogers has helped me understand the importance of habits and routine. It's one of our episodes early on. And one of the routines that I've gotten into is running. And I was out running just the other day. I was having a tough time on the path, and I noticed that there was another runner up ahead of me, not going real fast, about my pace. I focused on this runner, and in fact, the runner kind of was going a little faster than me. The distance seemed to be getting further and further along. I decided that this person, who I didn't know, I had never met, was going to be my leader. After all, they had more energy than me, and likely could get it done. So I focused on that runner, and sure enough, I felt this imaginary energy pulling me along, faster and faster. I was actually catching up to the runner in no time. And just like that, the runner stopped, turned around, and ran back at me. And away they went. And away I went at this newer, faster pace. I waved at the runner because, well, I was thankful that they gave me a little bit of energy that day without even knowing that they did it. It reminds me of one of the things that Fred Rogers said to that extent, that you never know just how important you can be to the lives of those you may never even meet. Certainly, in a way, that runner was a hero to me. And we all know that Fred Rogers really was a hero for so many people. Probably the reason that he was asked to speak as a commencement speaker at various colleges. Dartmouth was one of them. He gave one of the most inspiring stories that he could think of, and it was one that I'd like to share with you today. It went like this. Have you ever heard my favorite story of the Seattle Special Olympics? It was the 100-yard dash, and there were 9 contestants, all of them so-called physically or mentally disabled. At the start of the race, all 9 of the contestants were set at the starting line, and when the gun went off, they took off. Not long after, one of the little boys stumbled and fell and hurt his knee and began to cry. The other 8 runners heard the little boy crying and slowed down and turned around and ran back to the boy. All 8 of them ran back to him. One little girl with Down syndrome bent down and kissed the little boy and said, "This'll make it feel better." Just then, the little boy got up, linked arms with the other runners, and joyfully walked to the finish line. All 9 of them finished the race at the same time. And when they did, everyone in that stadium stood up and cheered and whistled and clapped for a long, long time. People who were there are still telling the story with great delight. And we know why. Because deep down, we know that what really matters in this life is more than just winning for ourselves. What really matters is helping others win too, even if it means slowing down or changing your pace from time to time. Whenever Fred Rogers would give that speech, certainly it would cause emotion in the crowd. Another thing that he would frequently do at almost every speech that he gave is giving credit where credit is due in people's lives. It's so important to have gratitude and be thankful. Fred Rogers had a technique that he would use where he would ask people to take a moment to think about the people that loved us into being, the folks that are the most important, that got us to where we are today. And he would invite the crowd he was talking to take a full minute to think about those people. And that's what I'd like to do with you today. I'll keep time. I wonder who you might have thought of. I'm sure it was an inspiration for you, like it was for me. If you don't mind, tell me a story about someone that inspired you, that was very important to you, in the comments section here on YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram at Walt Keller or on Facebook. Until next time, thanks for joining us for 21 Days to Fred.